Thank you.
Okay, my friend. Thank you, Natasha.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. We are starting in 3 minutes.
Hi guys, how are you?
Hi, oh, Tommy. Tom, is that you?
Hi, Tom. Hi, Alva.
Yes, it's me.
Okay. So
Hi
don't you
Arya,
meet
Ardi.
Alpha,
Is Arya
Alpha.
here? Hi Alpha.
I think
Great.
everyone is
So
here.
Ardi. Okay, Ardi is here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Nat, yang YouTube-nya kok nggak bisa dibuka ya?
Linknya udah dikasih Pak, udah ada. Udah live kok.
Masih nggak ada di YouTube-nya nggak?
Hello? Hello? Okay. So we have all the speakers here already. So yeah, we can start the session. Moderators, over to you.
Nat, can you check the YouTube, because I tried to open the YouTube from my phone and there's no video. Anyway, thank you, Natasha, for the opening.
Okay, on
Thank you
it.
everyone for joining our webinar. This is our webinar, the first webinar at 7:30 p.m. We're trying to do a different time. Hopefully, it works out for some of our viewers. So this is our 12th episode. Just a little bit about why we do this Founders Diary. Because we understand that building a company can be a lonely journey. While there are definitely joys of entrepreneurship, there are also significant challenges. In our Founders Diary series, we ask founders about what their days look like and reflect on what they discover during the process. So today I'm going to moderate this with my twin brother, Ardi. We started our own company back in 2008, and it's a construction company for telecommunication. And starting 2013, we started to invest in many of the Indonesian technology startups in Indonesia. So today we're gonna moderate about edutech in supporting learning from home activities of all stakeholders in Southeast Asia. A bit about the speakers. The first one is Alpha Bumhira, CEO and co-founder of ProSpark. ProSpark is a learning management system platform that provides innovative and engaging learning solutions that are customer-centric, needs-based, and results-driven. ProSpark offers key three solutions: ProSpark for enterprises, ProSpark for SMEs, and ProSpark for schools. Our goal is to make learning fun, flexible, and engaging among users. Learn anywhere, anytime. And the second speaker is Tommy Yunus, CEO of and co-founder of Cakap. Cakap is a platform that enables two-way learning interaction between life skill learner and industry experts across Asia Pacific to learn and improve specific skills at their own terms, from anywhere at any time. Cakap provides education solution with international standard learning curriculum to deliver the best online learning experiences. So I would like to welcome Alpha and Tommy. Welcome to our Founders Diary series. So,
Hi, Arya. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much, guys.
Hi, Alpha.
Hey, brother. How are you, Tommy?
Great, great.
So
Thank you.
Alpha, okay,
Hi, guys.
let's start with you, Alpha. Can you introduce yourself,
Yes.
where you're from, and about ProSpark?
Very good. Okay, so I want to say thank you very much to all our friends at Prosetia for this wonderful opportunity to share with you more about our project here at ProSpark. Myself, I'm moved from Brooklyn, New York. So I came from the States to come to Southeast Asia. And I have been in the region for about 2.5 years now. So I'm still fairly new to the whole Southeast Asia market as a whole. So it's a lot of things to learn. There's a lot of excitement within the region, a lot of young people, a lot of digital revolution going on. So we are contributing to the change in the region by working on ProSpark, which is our e-learning vehicle that's powering both the education sector and also the enterprise clients. So when you think about ProSpark, it's not just only the LMS, the learning management system companies or education institutions can use, but we are also expanding our core within the content space, whereby we're building ProSpark to be the one-stop shop for everything learning and development related for a variety of different clients. So we are focused mostly on Indonesia, but we are also starting to sell in the Philippines, which is an opportunity that came about because of the demand through the COVID disruption. So we have clients requesting for our product, and we started to start focusing in some little bit scope within the Philippines market. So Southeast Asia is our main focus, our own base, and we are very happy to be part of the Indonesian community in some shape and form. And we are very excited also to be sharing this platform with Brother Tommy and his team. Very excited to learn more about what they're doing on their end. But for us, I think the vision is simple. We believe that e-learning, edtech is the future of learning. We believe that due to COVID, the market will forever be different. We don't think the traditional ways of doing things will sustain the world for the long term. I think the Indonesian market needs change. Southeast Asia needs change specific to EdTech. And we at ProSpark, and I'm sure also Brother Tommy, we share the same vision and view that online engagement, online learning will improve the education standards of Indonesia and beyond. So thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here, and I'm excited to share our little knowledge we have based on the experience in Indonesia and also beyond. So thank you, Prasetya family, and thank you to everybody who's tuning in tonight. Terima kasih.
Thank you, Alpha. So over to you, Tommy. Just a little bit of introduction about yourself and what is Cakap.
Okay, yeah, thanks Arya Ardi. So thanks for having me, Alpha. It's nice to finally meet you here. So yeah, a bit about me. So I graduated from Bina Nusantara University, and then I had a chance to study abroad in China. So I spent like 6 years, 3 years for completed my master degree in China, and then 3 years work in one of IT company in Beijing. So it was very interesting because when my time in China, there was a booming of edutech, right? Some players like VIP Kid, 51 Talk, right? They were like advertising very aggressive, and the growth was very fast. And at that time, I was seeing that there wasn't any players yet in Indonesia. So I decided to back to Indonesia in 2015, right? Started my first edutech startup in Indonesia together with my partner Johan. I'm sure, I think he is also joining this webinar. And after a year, I met Arya and Ardi that actually believe in our vision, in our crazy idea. Back then, for your information, back in 2015, actually the internet penetration was very low. To get like a 2 Mbps internet speed, broadband internet, you have to spend like 1 million to get that speed. So actually, it was very crazy idea back in 2015, but thanks to Prasetya as our early backer that continuously supporting our journey until today. And actually, we started the company with the name School Line, starting from 2015 until 2019. So back then, the company was focusing on acquiring students through B2B channels. So we provide language training in a private and a group kind of format to corporate, government, learning institutions, because back then, actually, the response of the market was best through the B2B channels, while the B2C, there were still many boundaries for them to purchase the online learning products. But I think starting from 2018, 2019, even before COVID-19, actually the market has been becoming more mature, right? We've been seeing a lot of infrastructures being built. Last year, the government launched Palaparing, right, where connecting east part of Indonesia to west part of Indonesia with high-speed broadband internet, which actually very positive for us, because if we are talking about edutech solutions, right, edutech apps, right, it will not working without a good internet infrastructure, right? So yeah, it's very interesting to see like the growth of edutech sector, edutech market, right? Especially in this year, 2020. So that's I think that's all from me. Thanks.
Thank you, Tommy. So, without further ado, let's just deep dive into the questions. So, the first question: how does COVID affect your industry and company in general? Let's start with Alpha.
Okay, so I'm sure this question for all the founders in this call or anybody calling in, I'm sure they all have had some experience to answer this question in some shape or form. So I think when you think about our industry in general and also our company, of course, it's a mixed bag, right? First, I will highlight the opportunity we see. The biggest opportunity we see is we are now seeing that in specific to the Indonesian market, the market is being self-educated in regards to the benefits of remote access, working from home tools, to have the comfort level of using applications, for example, like this one, like Quizcast or Zoom or Skype. Like it's okay for you to have a meeting remotely. You do not have to meet people in an office. You don't have to be stuck in traffic for 25 minutes or 1 hour just to get to a specific place to say hello to your prospective client. So we are very excited in regards to that sudden shift in behaviors in companies, in organizations, in institutions, and that is already translating to when we are offering our solutions to some of these companies because well the challenge they're facing is they haven't trained people in person for a long time, right? And some companies they have to do compliance trainings because of regulations, they have to onboard new employees, they have to do all these different things. So now we are seeing that the conversation around e-learning, the conversation about remote learning, learning anywhere at any time, it doesn't has to be only just in a classroom, which is traditionally what this market is always pushing when I'm speaking more to the enterprise space. So now we're seeing a certain comfort level when we're engaging with the HR directors, business leaders across the enterprise space, that there is a strong appetite now to start thinking about how can you have a blended learning experience within your company, because so that if something like COVID ever happens, at least you don't face a massive disruption within the ecosystem. So we're already saying that, number one. Number two, and also when you think on the education sector, right? Because in Indonesia, well, for example, you have almost 3,800 universities in Indonesia. Not all universities have e-learning. Some don't even have anything, right? Whether it's mostly private or public universities, or even high schools or mid schools. So when the disruption happened, people have to do your homework or teaching and learning via Yahoo email, which is completely unsustainable, right? So what we're seeing also is a conversation on the education sector that schools are not starting to think about the infrastructure. How can they, in the future, invest in more like a robust LMS for the teaching and learning needs, right? And you can also see that shift happening when it comes to the opportunities. Of course, when you think about the deal front from our company, you can say, okay, well, globally, not only Indonesia, but in the region or globally, every major organization, I would say almost all the organizations have to do some form of a pullback from the market, right? Cutting down of capex budgets, limiting in terms of engagement with vendors. So we could see that our deal flow in the pipeline came to more like a very slow rate, right? Because companies are still trying to realize how can they adjust in this sudden shock that has been inhibited and caused by COVID. So we saw a very big withdrawal back, but at the same time, we were also seeing a lot of requests coming in from different clients and different entities like, hey, I want to know about e-learning. How can e-learning be used in my company? Because now people have to work from home, right? So we, but what we're 4-5 months now in the journey, we're starting to see now a very good, interesting discussion in one of our product segment, which is more like Prospect for SMEs. We are now seeing a very interesting traction in that area of SMEs looking for basic platforms, to that version, very affordable, basic onboarding platform. Now we're getting those onboarded, and we're seeing a lot of traction in that area space. On the enterprise, we're seeing a very long-term thinking, long-term planning, but we're already seeing some banks and e-commerce companies talking to us in terms of what would they should be thinking Q3, Q4, and Q1 into next year. So yes, we are very optimistic and bullish in the outlook for the edtech e-learning space within Indonesia. We are absolutely bullish in regards to the state of the market in terms of its comfort level, understanding the benefits of e-learning, understanding the return of using e-learning, and understanding the benefits of having a blended learning experience within the enterprise and also at the education sector. So we believe some down the road in 2021, we believe that the edtech e-learning in Indonesia is going to take off, because I'm having a tough time to even think about, of all the companies in Indonesia, which company will go back to the old norm, whether we say later in COVID, the new norm, or post-COVID. I'm sure every company will look into their IT strategy, their employee engagement strategy. I'm sure there will be a lot of people working from home beyond COVID, because it saves cost, cut down traffic, increase productivity. One of the interesting numbers came from the Indonesian government, that there were some reports that productivity in government employees in Indonesia is actually increased because of working from home, right? So we believe that there's going to be a lot of shift within the HR, human capital function, from learning, from productivity, from engagement, from how they work with their companies, going beyond. Same thing we've seen happening in the US, and countries like Indonesia or South Asia, they're still catching up with developed nations. But we believe this event of COVID, of course, has created a lot of pain for a lot of companies, a lot of people. But for us, we see a big opportunity of growth within the edtech e-learning space in Indonesia and beyond.
Okay, thank you, Alpha. Since you already answered my question, let me just ask from me as well. It's how do organizations like enterprises and education institutions think through this shift and adapt? Tommy? So basically, how does COVID affect your industry in general, and how does it affect the enterprises?
Yeah, thanks, Arya. So yeah, I agree with Alpha actually, that there is a sudden shock, right? Starting from March until now, right? Even after 3 months, there are still a problem in transforming offline learning activities to online, right? At least in my radar, right? But actually, for several segments, specific segments like A and perhaps B level, actually, I can say 2020, the shifting, it's already there. I mean, I can say the education industry for several segments is already take off. So from the industry, how this impacting the industry? Of course, it's in a positive way. It's accelerate the adoption of technology in education industry, right? We know there is a massive offline to online transformation, and I think it's very positive to our company and also to all the edutech folks in Indonesia, right? For instance, how many there were like thousands of workshops being hosted in hotel, right, in training centers in the big cities, and they have to move to online or they have to stop, right? So I think in short, this is the golden era of edutech sector in Indonesia. So from my side is it's worth waiting, like starting from 2015, and right now everything is starting to take off. But of course, some negative impact, right? as you know, that actually early this year, our Minister of Education just create a policy to change the national exam, right? And actually, it's create a lot of polemic, and it's not finished yet, but the COVID-19 is already here. So I think it's very interesting. And uh, last month, we know, I mean, based on the data, only schools, right, in the green zone that can be open, right, can do like a face-to-face learning. And I think today I read the news that some schools, right, one school in West Sumatra, for example, it's closed after the first day open, right, because there are two teachers are positive coronavirus. So I think it's still there is a uncertainty whether this trend will continue until this year, or perhaps will continue until late 2021, right? So for the education stakeholders, of course, there is a panic situation for all education stakeholders in Indonesia: students, parents, teachers, learning institutions, right, and also corporate. And I think it's because the digital literacy and technology absorption, right, are still relatively low. I can say, especially in the second and the third tier city, right? And for example, 30% of the teachers in Indonesia actually above 50 years old. So can you imagine how this 30% of the teachers can adapt to educate to the technology, right? It will require longer time to use the technology, right? And device problem, as we know, the smartphone penetration, yes, is high, but it's actually like mostly in one family, especially in the second or the third tier city. Perhaps one family only can have like one smartphone or one laptop, which they have to share it with uh, the whole family, right? And also the package data limitation, even though the internet infrastructure is already there, but to purchase the package, right, it's also a problem, right, because they need to like the spending, the average revenue per user for this package data is also not that high, as we know, right? And offline education stakeholders also impacted, like bookseller, private teachers, right? So Alpha said there are 3,000 to 4,000 university, right? But actually, the total informal tuition centers, right, in Indonesia, it's reaching 300,000. Actually, there are 300,000 informal learning centers, and based on our deep learning, around 80% of them have to stop the operations. So this is very sad, but I think it's positive because they have to, right? They have to learn. They have to move to use the technology. So it's meaning there will be it will help to accelerate the technology adoption of education, right? So it's very interesting. For example, in our case, we have some new initiatives, some new solution that we have to adjust responding to the COVID-19 condition. For example, we have this 24 hours looping channel, teaching language in Lingua channel that broadcasted in IndiHome and Transvision. And as you know, TVRI right now is also being used to for students, right, to help the learning from activity. So there are more and more solutions actually being pushed, right? The creativity of edutech players in Indonesia is being pushed, right, to adjust and to create new solutions to the market, right? But specifically for my company, we are very grateful that we can capture most of the opportunities that within our scope of work. And it's actually we experience 32x jump, like compared the same compared to the same period in 2019, which early 2020, and our active users within year 2020 increased more than 500% compared to January to early 2020. So it's I think there are negativity, there are positive things also for edutech players in Indonesia. But the point is we are happy. It's very excited to see that actually we can have the real battlefield, right, to test, to use our technology that has been developed for the last couple of years.
But Tommy, so from the user side, there is an uptick because of COVID. From the partners, there are also an uptick as well because of COVID. But from the B2B customer, is there an uptick as well?
In our side, actually, I can say it's stable, but we are getting more requests recently from B2G part, right? I mean, we have some initiatives, some program together with Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of ICT, right, to actually uh, create a fully online language class. So we are, for example, we are targeting location with tourism spots, right, in more than 28 provinces in Indonesia. So actually, recently we are getting more and more requests from the ministries, but B2B, I can say it's stable.
Okay. Thank you, Tom. Before I hand over to my brother, there's a question from one of the audience, from Gracie. Can we have some example of e-learning that Alpha is referring to? Alpha,
Sorry, I didn't hear your question. Can you repeat it, please?
it's on the chat box on the left side, the left bottom corner. Can we have example of e-learning that Alpha is referring to? I think
Okay.
you.
Right. So I think so. Maybe to be very clear in regards to what Prospect is offering in the market, we are offering the platform, the learning management system itself, right, to our clients. That it can include banks, e-commerce companies, insurance companies, so they can use the platform. They can upload all their contents, their users, all their trainings, and they can disseminate it across all their ecosystem to educate or train the employees or users at any time, right? So our devices, iOS, Android, and also web application. What we are also now advancing in expanding our offerings and services is now we are also diversifying our product offering into content marketplace, whereby we are starting to offer a variety of different instructional designed content specific to around soft skills within the enterprise SME space. Could be leadership, coaching, learning, whatever that is. So now we are also starting to offer a packaged solution around soft skills that we can actually offer to the enterprise or clients which are using our platform. We are also expanding our e-learning solution in areas, for example, like basic things like HR policies, how to develop like a succession plan, some basic tools which sometimes when you think about it, SMEs, like most of the startups, right? Sometimes we do not have enough of an HR functioning, full-blown ecosystem within our entities because of, I'm sure, budget constraints or focus or resources or time. So one of the gaps we see specific to a lot of SMEs is how can, onboarding of new employees, right? Decimating of different policies, trainings around COVID. How can they adapt in this new norm, right? So what we are also doing now, in addition to the soft skills which we're already pushing, we are also starting to get into that space of helping within the HR onboarding, basic engagement tools, whatever we can develop for our clients, and we're offering that within the SME clients. When you think about ProSpark, it's a variety. It's like three major key buckets. There's ProSpark for the enterprise, which is the large organizations, the banks, the logistics, hospitals. You also have ProSpark for the SMEs, which is more like most of the startups in this space, between 30 users to 200 users, right? Price point is about from $500,000 to 1.5 million. That's an offering for the SMEs. We also have ProSpark for education, which is the LMS vehicle, which we are offering the universities for their teaching and learning of their employees. So yes, what we are now doing is complementing the foundation of our learning management system offering and targeting all the users within our ecosystem now with specialized content services as part of our offering. So that's what we are doing at ProSpark. We're not really much into B2C, the other stuff you get to see out there. And as of today, actually, we're having conversation with our friends at RIF Fitness with Gita and her team. What we also would start to offer in our enterprise solution clients is the content around fitness. So one thing about corporate or enterprise or SME is people need to be fit, right? Exercising or whatever. So we want our clients not only to access their trainings around soft skills, company policies, onboarding, but we also want to provide this access content around fitness, which will be curated and tailored by Gita and her team at RIF Fitness as part of our corporate entity offering. Because one thing you see typically in the US or where I'm from or whatever, most of the companies, health and fitness is a big deal. There's an office for that. There's content developed for it, which is being pushed within the company intranet for all the employees to access. So what we're also thinking now to do is to provide some of our clients or people using our ecosystem access to content around fitness, especially within this working from home culture and how to live a balanced lifestyle. So that's pretty much a comprehensive view of what our e-learning consists of.
Okay, thank you, Alpha. So over to Ardi.
All right, thank you, Arya. Before we move on, from the audience, if you have any question, just write it up. And also in YouTube, we've got a question. So I will ask a question from YouTube audience, from Bayu Seto. Are you doing any pivoting in your business model because of COVID-19, or maybe improvement? Let's start with Alpha.
Yeah, I think absolutely, right? So, if I'm still yet to find any company or any company out there that is not pivoting in some shape or form. I think from our perspective right now, one of the things we have done is we got rid of our office for the short term, and because now our team is very mobile and we are a technology business, so we could adapt fast into the changing norms. I'm sure we'll open it again in the next month or so. But in regards to our service offering in pivoting, the way we have managed to deal with the crisis is, for example, we have managed to, like what Brother Tommy was mentioning in his businesses, right? Like, what are some of the new offerings which they're offering to meet the needs of the new clienteles in the ecosystem? What we also have done at ProSpark, like stuff for the SME, we have never had a learning management system or e-learning package solution for the SMEs, right? When you think about Indonesia, there's roughly between 60 to 80 million SMEs in this country, right? And within just the percentage of group of companies, there's a lot of SMEs, right? Startups that could be using our product. So one of the things we know is, we still need to hire people. We still need to update and train policies and things like that. So this is something we're also getting a lot of requests from a lot of small companies, because now they cannot train that on board their employees faster, right, in person. So what we did is we managed to produce a very cheap product, simplified version of NLMS. You can get the mobile app on it. You can also get the web application, and you can push all your trainings, onboarding, your orientation, company vision, COVID alert, whatever trainings into this platform, and people can access it anywhere, at any time, and they can track their progress. That is one of the things we have done, because it's a new battlefield we're also offering. Number two, what we also have done is diversifying our target market, right? So when COVID hit, of course, we put a lot of energy in Indonesia, which is our main market, and we're still going to continue to do that. But the benefit of running a SaaS business is we're starting to get a lot of requests from Vietnam. We're getting a lot of requests from Singapore. And a lot of requests from the Philippines, from companies. And so we have seen your e-learning on Jill Street Asia or Tech in Asia. Can you help us? Right? So our pivot now is more like, okay, well, our main market is Indonesia. That is our 100% focus. But now we're also entertaining and listening to leads that are coming from other countries in the region. I actually had another lead coming from Chicago, where I went to school, right? There's a nonprofit organization that said they want to use something because the solutions they have in the US or other countries are expensive. They're very limited. They're not easy to use. So, in terms of how we're looking into the deal flow, we're now listening beyond Indonesia. Why not, right? The product is ready. The product is very versatile. It's available across the whole Southeast Asia countries, and it's scalable. And we already have the infrastructure to support it across all this, in the Philippines, right? When you think about the Philippines, of course, it's very, it's up and running market, a little bit westernized there, a lot of American, Spanish influence, technology adoption is higher, and there's also an appetite to, a lot of techies and things going on over there. So I think in terms of, I think that clearly summarizes our pivot strategy, right? Listening to some of the noise coming from other markets in the region, and mainly diversifying our offering to target this SME space in Indonesia.
All right, thank you. How about you, Tommy?
Yeah, awesome, Alpha. Thanks, Ardi. So, for us, actually, a bit different, because we have everything ready, set before the COVID-19, right? We've been developing the products for last couple of years. We launched the apps early 2019, right? Actually, to cover the one-on-one, one-to-many group webinar models, right? So actually, thank God that actually we have everything ready before COVID. So we are not also pivoting in terms of the business model. We still keep the business model, and actually it can it's actually increased because of the high requests, right, from across B2C, B2B, and learning institutions, right, or corporates that actually require to transform their offline learning activities to online activities. And from the B2C side, for example, so actually we already soft launched this so-called something we call it Chaka Kids, right, to actually provide language learning in English, Mandarin, Japanese to kids audience, 7 years old to 12 years old. And after launch, schools stop, right? And so it's the same condition also for tuition centers that offering language have to, so parents cannot send their kids anymore to the offline tuition centers, so they have to find online solutions, right? So when they type Caka, when they type like belajar bahasa Inggris online or learning English online. So we already on the page one in as in Google, right? So I think thank God we have everything ready before COVID-19. But what we do is actually to create some new initiatives using the existing business model and product. For example, we are partnering with this Hotel and Restaurant Association. It's called PHRI. That's actually the biggest one in Indonesia, with total 2,000 hotels and 150,000 members, right? So during the COVID-19, actually the workers in hospitality is the one who impacted, right? Impacted badly. So we are trying to give encouragement for them by providing free English and Mandarin course, right, for them, so they can keep positive during their time at home, right? So that kind of initiatives that we are partnering, because the spirit of Cakap is always about collaboration and partnership, right? We cannot just rely on the products, creating our own content, but we believe that the collaboration between all the stakeholders in education ecosystem will be able to speed up the impact, right? And another newest initiative from us is we just launched Cakap Upskill last week. Actually, it's um, it's a platform where we are connecting experts, right, with life skill learners in our apps, learning using video call in a group or a webinar type of classes. So actually, it's our expansion beyond language learning, because we see there are this massive transformation, right, from offline to online, and we need to help the 80% of that informal learning centers, right, expert that actually needs a home. So they need a home to have everything integrated in one system. So when we're talking about e-learning, it's not just video call, it's not just like a virtual classroom, but course management is very crucial also, how we can do the scheduling between the student and teacher, right? And payment is actually also very important, because I believe transferring money directly is not popular anymore, right? So people want to have like a online payment, Gojek, GoPay, OVO, right? So how we can deliver the one stop integrated e-learning solutions to help our partners, right? So that's also the initiative that we have done.
All right, I think it's related to another question from another audience from YouTube, from Aji Perdana. He's asking to Prospark whether Prospark is partnering with community or another entity as a source of expertise or knowledge. So I think it's Cakap is already doing it with experts. How about you, Alpha? Are you doing that similar angle with experts?
Yeah, I think this is interesting, and I think I would like to follow up with Tommy post meeting. I can see some interesting synergies around the expert space, and specific to some of the requests we get from our clients who are looking for specialized trainings around specialized areas. So I think it'll be interesting. I was just listening to his view and how they're creating this marketplace that can connect the two ecosystems. So I think me and him, we might have a beer virtually, and we could talk a little bit more about that.
Sure, Alpha. Happy to do that after this.
Absolutely. I'll buy the first round. Don't worry. so yeah, I think from our vantage point of view, what we are typically doing is we're working with training companies, right, who are specializing in specific skill sets, right? It could be sales trainings. It could be, let's say, machine learning, artificial intelligence, coding, whatever these different topic areas, which our clients are looking for specialized targeted learnings around specialized targeted topics, right? We do not have that expertise in-house, and we do not intend to have that expertise in-house. This is where we are leveraging the training ecosystem or the training companies in Indonesia that are already working with the same portfolio of companies we are going after. So that's our training expert ecosystem, which we are leveraging within our target market area. But I think what will be interesting for us is to check out the portfolio or the scope of what Tommy and his team are doing, and to see whether there's any potential synergies which we could leverage within our ecosystem. Because we always get this request from a lot of our clients. We get a lot of different topics. Even some of the clients, they always say, hey, so besides just the content development, do you have a subject matter expert, let's say, for example, machine learning, who can come in and speak, do like a virtual meeting, or come in person and speak to our IT experts or whatever within the bank, right? And then sometimes it takes quite a while for us to go back to our ecosystem to pick and match, and then bring forward options to the market. So I think it's all about us expanding our pool in terms of how we look into the market, how we are expanding the ecosystem, and leveraging the relationships we already have. I think something further I would like to follow up from an earlier comment from Tommy when he mentioned something interesting about the number of learning centers or learning institutions in Indonesia, right? You think about 300,000 to 400,000, baseline of 360,000, the number. I mean, that number is huge, right? And he went further and say 80% of that 360 or 380,000 companies have been affected. Either they have completely stopped to do everything they've been doing, right? Or they just took a break from everything, right? Or whatever they're doing has been limited. So I think it's a very interesting statistics, right? Because for us, what we're also seeing is the same learning centers. I think they can also put like trainers, right? Training companies, training institutions in Indonesia, corporate trainers, education trainers, vocational training centers, right? That market itself has been absolutely severely disrupted because of COVID. Because traditionally in Indonesia, the training industry is more in person. The trainer go to Mandiri Bank, they go to BNI, they go to BRI or whatever. They train the whole day, 8 hours, 5 days a week. It's long, it's doing this, they do all these different things in person, right? And now that completely disappeared, right? So your revenue as a training company was all heavily skewed towards in-person training, right? So then how do those companies have to adopt? And I'm sure all of you guys in all your WhatsApp groups or Facebook, Instagram, you'll be seeing a lot of pop-ups of invitations from training companies. They have a Zoom webinar and you have to pay 175K to attend a Zoom or something like that. So everyone within this training, learning and development ecosystem, they're trying to do everything they can to adapt, because people, individuals, they were not ready for this, right? So what we've been saying all along, and I'm sure Tommy and his team might have been doing the same thing, is to encourage companies, encourage institutions, encourage enterprise or SMEs or training companies or universities to think about this blended learning experience as part of their L&D ecosystem, right? And that has been a little bit slow in terms of changing behaviors, in terms of what the market does, because pretty much traditionally everything in Indonesia is very in person. So this shock happens, and it created a very huge disruption in the marketplace. So yes, I mean, when Tommy mentioned that, there's been 80% really affected, you can see that a lot of small training companies, mid-sized training companies were severely decimated or completely wiped off, wiped away off the market, including some of the middlemen they used to find new deals and projects. So the question is, how do we get ourselves from this hole we have created? So what we're doing at ProSpark is our number one goal is we're also building and continuous expanding our presence within the training institutions. We're already partnering with Muhammad Institute. Indonesia is one of our key training and also our sales partner. We are also partnering with PwC Indonesia. We are now the LMS partner for PwC. So what we're doing is we are continuously reinvigorating our strategy, looking into the ecosystem, because at some point somebody has to bring in all these different pieces together, right? Subject matter experts, instructors, professors, trainers together, right? Because at some point everything has to all work as a system. So what we believe that the future is not going to be on so much on decentralized access to information. It's not going to be much on so much redundant processes or redundant things of old ways of doing things that belongs in the 1960s or the 70s. We believe that the future is going to be more embedded within an ecosystem that feeds the input, the process, and the output, and everything working together concurrently, exchange ideas, provide feedback, quick, fast, data-driven by the speed of the button. That's where we see the opportunities, and I'm glad Tommy really highlighted that in his earlier conversation.
All right, thank you, Alpha. And back to our questions. How is the experience with fundraising? Any different pre and post COVID? Let's start with Tommy.
That's a hard question. Okay, so yeah, this is specifically in terms of fundraising, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Fundraising, I think the VC that active or just window shopping is actually can be well filtered right now. Even from my experience, some of the VC that actually always wanna meet the startups right now, they are they stop, right, or even very slow response. I have to be honest. So actually, the VC like the list of the investor is reduced significantly, right? We from the maybe 50 investors that we have, so right now we only have like perhaps 5 to 10, right? Then actually it's but in terms of the education sector, for sure we are in the positive position, right? Healthcare, education, we are in the positive position, and I think it's very good for us, because even though the valuation perhaps is also will be different, right, with the condition maybe last year or 2 years ago, but I think for the education sector is still very positive. The investors are still very bullish to the market, right? And it's just the matter of the readiness of the venture capitals, right? And also the valuation, I think. So from my side, there is no problem in terms of fundraising to the investor, specifically for the edutech startups in education. Yeah, for the edutech startup in Indonesia.
And especially, I think you're getting a lot of media coverage in the past couple of months, right? So that I think that helps. How about you, Alpha?
No, I think it's good. I'm glad to hear brother's Tommy experience. So Tommy, please send me a check if you have extra money. So no, I think our so yeah, so if you so basically, the game of fundraising, it's like dating, yeah. It's like a dating session. You have a couple of different options on the table. You take one to dinner, you take one for coffee, you take one fishing, and sometime you might catch something on the way. So no, I think what to be very honest, uh, fundraising has been different from the way it was pre-COVID, right? You can see that a lot of VC funds are a little bit tightening the belt because there's a lot of uncertainties in the market. This is not only Indonesia or Southeast Asia; it's a global thing. You can also look into the numbers coming out of the Silicon Valley. You can also look at numbers coming from Singapore. Globally, investors are pulling back from the market. Of course, LPs are driving some of those decisions, right? Because there's a lot of global economic uncertainties because people do not know as of now what this COVID situation is going to be and what are the implications to the economy, to spending, to different companies. So I think that's the fact. What we also see is we're also seeing a lot of interest from VC funds to speak to people within the edtech space, right? Because now there's a lot of capital sitting there. Most likely, some of the sectors, like if somebody wants to start like an Airbnb, start like a hotel business in this time, it could be very difficult to raise money, right? Or a travel advisory business, it could be very difficult, right? You all saw the down round which Traveloka has to go through recently, right? It's a very hard hit business. So what we also see is there's a lot of VCs which we never thought they would speak to us before, but now they actually made a meeting to speak with us because they want to learn more about what we are working on within the edtech e-learning space, right? So we now know that our industry is now the focus, right? As many governments, for example, President Duterte in the Philippines already said the whole year no one's going to go to school, right? Everybody has to do things remotely. I'm sure Indonesian government is also pushing initiatives of how they can do all this blended learning experience within the education institutions. So you're starting to see a lot of requests, a lot of, hey, can we have a one-on-one? Let's have a coffee chat. I want to know what you guys are working on, right? It's more like an easier conversation compared to where it was, let's say, in the past 8 months, the first time we did a pre-seed round, right? So we already raised the pre-seed. We're in the process of closing our seed round. So we see that conversation a little bit different. But at the same time, right, it's all about, because before, some of the VCs are like, wait a minute, e-learning, enterprise, or in that space, how big is the market, right? When people think about e-learning in Indonesia, they think about Ruang Guru, right? That's just the benchmark, right? Oh man, Ruang Guru, they think about the big ones, right? So you clearly haven't had much of understanding the scope of the enterprise market itself in Indonesia. As more investors, as more players, more competitors, as more SaaS suppliers are still trying to figure out this whole enterprise space within the B2B framework. Because more people know more about the B2C versus the B2B. So eventuality from what we're seeing is we're getting a lot of requests since we're fundraising. We're getting a lot of good meetings. We're also getting other investors who are more like, you know what, let me wait a little bit next round to see how things work, because maybe they're a little bit cautious since we are pretty much at the seed stage and so we'll go to pre-series A. But based on my experiences and what I'm seeing my other friends are going through, you can see that a lot of my friends have been affected. I have 3 friends who tried to raise. They just unsuccessfully didn't had to go through into the next steps. But for Prosper, we're very happy. In this round, we already have 2 VCs already committed, and we're in the process of finalizing maybe 2 or 3 players who will join us in the next round. So we are lucky and we're privileged to at least have 2 investors who are willing to take a risk on us during this phase, because this is something I was not even expecting, that in this stage with what's happening in the economy, with the effects on the business, traction, we will at least have a major VCs interested in putting money in us. So we're very happy that we've managed to cross that little bridge. Of course, we want to cross that little bridge higher, and that's what we're working on right now. So in terms of where we're going to go next. We will continuously engage with more investors, more VCs, because we know the journey is long. But for right now, we're a little bit of excited that at least we have two VCs who invested at least $1 for this coming round. So we're excited about that. But let's not make a mistake. For my own personal experience, it's very hard to raise money in this stage, and I have a lot of friends who've been affected. I'm not gonna sit over here and make like, oh, this is all kumbaya, this is easy. I think that's nonsense. I'm not gonna take that route. It's very difficult for a lot of people, and I'm in the same boat as a founder, a co-founder of a company. I know the pain. I know the sweat and blood of what people have to go through just to continuously sustain the operation, and I feel for a lot of people, and hopefully, this nightmare will come to pass for all the companies out there to meet their revenue and fundraising goals. I know it's very difficult. It's been difficult for us. It's too difficult for us. We're making small improvements here and there, but of course, my heart goes out to all my other co-founders or other founders in other countries or in Indonesia who are facing a terrible nightmare due to this COVID situation.
All right. Thank you, Alpha. So I'll pass next questions to Arya.
Thank you, Ardi. So let's start with the question from Pak Bonan Prasetyo. Related with limited internet infrastructure in Indonesia, do Prosproc and Cakap have a new solution or new technology to solve that challenge? Let's start with
Tommy go first. Yeah. I mean, I can go first, but I just let's focus on it. But
I think Tommy will have the more challenge because Tommy has the consumer facing app.
I see.
No problem.
So Tommy can go first. I'll go second.
Thanks, Alpha. Yeah, so from the limitation of internet infrastructure, actually, we can do like targeting the accurate customers, right? For us, I mean, in our side, since we are focusing on live tutoring, meaning all the classes, the product itself are focusing on two-way learning interaction, which will require higher internet connection. So we select the target carefully and then spend the marketing budget very accurate in the target that actually ready to accept our products. But in terms of getting the mass, getting the free students, right? We have some products outside of the virtual classroom, right? Outside of the video call. So, for example, I mentioned we have this channel in Lingua channel that actually broadcasted in IndiHome and Transvision. So students from even in remote area, when if they have this TV cable program, they can access our solutions actually. Or for example, during the pre-employment card program, the Prakerja, right? We need to adjust the solutions from the full live tutoring, the full two-way learning interaction. We have to create also some of the content, right? So we are doing like a combination between self-paced and live learning. So we have to do that, but for us, actually, we are still believe and we're confident that the internet infrastructure will be significantly improved for the next 2 to 3 years. So we are still stick to the solutions, but we are creating some of the new products, right, with lower requirements in terms of the internet connection to keep acquiring the users, right, the free users that perhaps will be also our students, our paid students in the future. So I think that's our strategy.
So just to recap, so you're not forcing to penetrate the market that are not ready, right?
Yes. Yes, right. I mean, we are not trying to convert the users or the students that actually cannot use our product properly, right? So we only spend the marketing budget on the
Certain
location
areas.
that's actually ready for the solution.
Okay. Thank you, Tommy. How about you, Alpha? Do you have
So I
that
think,
plan already?
yeah, I think, of course, one thing you always know is, when you're doing business in Indonesia, of course, Jakarta is not a full representation of the whole wonderful Indonesia ecosystem, because there's some areas which are yet to be developed in regards to the internet penetration rate. I'm sure, Aria, you are the ambassador for this space in your other ventures. I think from what our perspective is, typically, of course, we are more focused on enterprise clients and established entities. So we are always going for the clients, our target market. They already have some form of a baseline infrastructure in place, whether they have remote locations in Papua, in Sumatra, in Sulawesi, Flores. So they already have some form of a minimum baseline technology infrastructure bandwidth within, let's say, their local banking location or insurance agent office or food office or whatever that is, whether in Solo or Georgia or whatever you want to call it. But what we also see is some of the locations which our clients are doing business, they have limited bandwidth, or just the ecosystem of internet penetration is just not there, right? Likely, Prospark is available, like I said, Android, iOS, web application, web mobile responsive. So what we also have is our application can be accessed offline. Let's say you're an employee, you log in into your company portal within your platform, and you can access all your trainings, and you can do those things offline. The moment you get online or data, all that stuff will be synced within your instance database. So we know that that can be also be helpful, because not everybody can afford to be online with data, right? Because it's just expensive or it's limited. So what we also say is, if somebody is sitting in traffic, and they can log in, they can take their courses, take a test, they can access as if they're online. Not all functions, by the way, but maybe basic course, readings, video, take a test, and everything gets synced back into the database. So we, of course, there are some things we can do from our end as a technology company, and do everything we can control within our application wise, offline, online mode. But of course, at the end of the day, the fact of the matter is the fact that without a sustainable infrastructure, okay, within the investment from private companies or government to expand the internet penetration or mobile penetration, of course, that also hinders our expansion in the market where we're trying to target. Because right now we're going to be working, we're focusing on SMEs, right? And sometimes, some of the SMEs, they can be outside the traditional startup circle, which is more like a techie, right? You can have SME who's not like real techie. How would you address that? So we are doing the best we can to meet the needs of the market. We are doing the best we can to accommodate that. But I think the perfect solution will be the partnership between the government entities, private entities, startup ecosystem, in order to address this issue of technology infrastructure, which is yet to be developed further within Indonesia. Since we know Jakarta is an island, it's not a full representative of what the whole Indonesia internet landscape look like.
So just to recap, so what you're doing right now, you realize that this is going to be a problem, but
Yep.
right now you're just focusing on providing that online, offline, so that people can access it. Let's say when they have Wi-Fi, they will download the stuff that they will consume when
Yep.
they are offline.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Alpha. So the next question: what is the future for education according to your perspective? I would say the future of education in Indonesia. Let's start with you, Alpha.
Start with me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a very optimistic person. If I was not optimistic, I won't be sitting in this beautiful country today. I could be somewhere back in Brooklyn, in New York City, but I'm here in Indonesia.
That will be another long story about your journey coming to Indonesia. Maybe we can do another session.
No, of course.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, Indonesia is a country no one is not going to ignore, right? Population-wise, maybe the fourth largest country in the world. The number of young people below 30, mobile penetration rate, e-learning consumption in Southeast Asia, the country is number one in across many different segments. So the future of this country is absolutely bright, right? And I'm so happy to see a lot of people graduating and they want to work in startups. I'm so happy to see people graduating and they want to start companies. I'm happy not to see a lot of people graduating and want to work with the government, right? Because that's too much traditional. It's good to work for the government. There's nothing wrong with it, but I think it's very traditional, very predictable. So I'm very happy to see a lot of Indonesian people want to take a lot of risk. They're thinking big. They're thinking outside the box. And I think that can only fuel more innovation and more development. From our outlook in terms of the future of education, absolutely. We believe that the future of Indonesia learning I can only scope it from what we see in the country where I'm from, right? I would say the learning and development ecosystem in the United States among the enterprise, in person, maybe it's 10% of the market. 90% is online, right? I used to work for Apple. There is no single day I've done training in person during my time when I was over there in Cupertino, right? Everything was pretty much online from day one to the day I left. So I believe that the future of learning within the enterprise, SME space, merchants, education sector, absolutely is going to shift to the online access. Will I say this is going to happen in the next 12, 24 months? Absolutely not. Because each country has its own different stages of development based on culture, people, adoption, infrastructure, and also policies, right, from the government. So what we see from our end, I'm very optimistic when I see a lot of, all my Indonesian friends, I'm a Liverpool Football Club fan, so I go to Big Reds Jakarta. Everybody has a mobile phone and everybody's on YouTube. So we believe that the consumption of information is going to be video. People have been thinking about micro learning, right? Gone are the days people sitting in a room for 25 hours, 8 hours, or 5 days a week, and they're just eating donuts and just listening to an instructor. We believe that the future of learning will be micro learning, right? In bit-sized information that is more digestible, more engaging content, and that's where we see the future going. I don't see a curve in Indonesia whereby e-learning, edtech will completely remove the human-to-human interaction or the human-to-human connection, because it's part of the Indonesian fabric. It's part of the Indonesian culture. Let me see you, let me touch you, let me listen to you, let me have a coffee with you. It's just part of the culture. But am I going to say after COVID or in the future that 100% of the learnings will be in person? I'm very pessimistic on that position. I believe that blended learning experience will be the future. But when you think about 5 to 10 years from now, I believe e-learning will dominate in Indonesia. That's my outlook. That's my belief. And that's what I will continue to work on in Indonesia, to make sure that we give people access of information anywhere at any time, whether they're in Papua, whether they're in West Papua, whether they're in Papua. We need to give people information anywhere at any time. That is the only way Indonesia is going to be a better country. That is the only way your country is going to develop to be the #1 country in Asia in productivity. And that is the only way we're going to take a lot of people out of poverty and move them into low to middle class. That is the only way we're going to fight against racism, allocating of resources in your country. We'll fight so many different things if we allow people to access information, educate them anywhere. And that is the only way we can continue to build this beautiful country of Indonesia. I believe in the things I already said, and I believe this market it has a bright future. But we need smart policies from the government. We need smart leaders making good decisions. At the same time, we need more investment in young people, invest in education, math and science, critical thinking, analytical thinking, thinking outside the box. That's what this country needs. This country needs less volume, but it needs quality, and that's what we should also aim to achieve. And that's what we're pushing with ProSpark, e-learning ecosystem.
Thank you, Alpha. I totally agree with you. How about you, Tommy?
Yeah, thanks Alpha for the very positive outlook to Indonesia education sector. So from me, I think Indonesia right now is the third largest in terms of education system in Asia, after India and China, of course. So maybe I wanna give like maybe the next 5 years, because after 5 years, I honestly cannot predict what kind of new technology, right, that will be appear, right, in the edutech sector. So I believe technology will continue to expand the people's boundaries and opportunity, right? So I think the next 5 years, content will be the king. So content including course, the teachers, right? And the competition will be about the content. It's not just relying on the video call, virtual classroom, learning management system, right? But it's more on the content. Who have the good content will be, all the learning management system will chase them to become part of the ecosystem, right? So that's why we in Cakap, actually, we also believe in investing in teachers, right? In hiring a good teachers that can actually give or help the student to continue learning in the platform. It's actually can increase the retention rate also for students, right? So credibility of the teachers will be also more important, right? Since more and more parents, right, will move to online learning. So the credibility of the teachers, the credibility of the course also will be important, and certification are also will be very crucial. Before, I mean, people were moving to online learning, it's because of its flexibility. But the next 5 years, it's actually students are more demanding. Parents, students, schools will be more demanding in terms of the solutions that they can get from e-learning, right? For example, 10 years ago, perhaps this model, massive online open course, was very popular, right, in China, in the US. But right now, students are demanding like a more interaction, right? More interaction kind of class. But I think the next 2 to 3 years, we will get bored. I mean, a lot of people are telling me they get bored of Zoom, right? Because of it's very, very standard, right? So I think in the next 2 to 3 years, people will demand perhaps augmented reality there, adaptive learning, right? Integrated in the platform, right? So I think for the next 5 years, that will be the my projection. But I believe with Alpha that human interaction cannot be replaced completely, right? Because at least for the next 10 years, for that, I don't see AI machine learning will be able to replace, because the human interaction is actually the one who drive people to keep learning, actually. So we are more seeing that the technology like machine learning, adaptive learning, it's actually more to support the learning activity between the student and the teachers. And the key for edutech players to survive is actually doing collaboration. I mean, it's not just about edutech players, but all the education stakeholders. They need to do a lot of collaboration, so everyone can focus on their expertise, right? So, for example, for universities, right, content creator, they can focus on creating the content and then collaborate with the uh, learning management system or software as a service provider, right? So yeah, that's I think my outlook. So the next 5 years will be very interesting for Indonesian edutech sector.
Very true.
Okay. Thank you, Tommy. So from Tommy, it's more the quality of the teacher is very important as well. For Alpha, giving access to the most, even the remote area is very important as well. Okay, thank you for both of you. So Ardi, over to you for the last question.
Okay, last question for both of you. Please share us some key takeaways of being a founder that you, yeah, just maybe one or two key takeaways that you can share to us. Let's start with Alpha.
Maybe like potential founder who wants to start something, just to give them idea of your journey.
Okay, I'm sure I get asked these questions all the time. I think my response to this is, it's hard. That's just the truth. I'm sure people when they're looking from the outside, oh man, it's good. I can run my own company. I can work whenever I want to work. I can drink a coconut on the beach. It's more to that. Being a founder, working on an idea and trying to bring an idea to market and want to make people buy that idea and spend money on it to see the value for that, it's a very difficult thing to do. So I think for my experience is, you have to, I think majority of the time it's a mental game you have to play, right? You have to mentally prepare yourself on the journey you have to travel, right? For my story is a little bit different, right? I'm not from Indonesia. I'm not from Southeast Asia, right? I know we're doing business in almost 2 or 3 countries now, right? And I was not born here, right? I don't have family here, right? So how do you come in and learn about the culture, learn about the people, learn about the market, build an ecosystem of people who can support you, provide you the feedback you need to improve? It's even more difficult, right? Same thing as any of you guys want to move to the United States. You don't know anyone. You will go through the same challenges and even worse challenges, right? Because it's a different market. So I think, for if you're thinking of starting a company, I think you have to really be ready for the ups and downs. And the question is, how do you mentally prepare yourself for such an adventure? I always encourage people to say, whatever you're working on, if it still feels like a job, stop and do something different. Okay? If you have an idea or you have this idea, whatever, I want to start this, and you still feel like this is like a job and it's not a hobby or it's not like a fun activity that you can do it at night, you can have a call like at 9 p.m. and still talk about it, I think you should reconsider your options, right? So the reason, I'm sure maybe Brother Tommy can attest to that, the reason for me, I enjoy ProSpark, because ProSpark to me is like a hobby, right? It's something I enjoy because I'm passionate about education. I'm speaking to all you guys tonight, all over whatever you're tuning in, Indonesia, Singapore, whatever, or Vietnam, because of an education, right? And education gave me this platform to do what the heck I'm doing now today. And this is why I'm so passionate about this space, because we believe that education can make a difference. So I look at ProSpark as a hobby. I look at ProSpark as something I can talk about as if I'm talking about Liverpool or I'm talking about New York Knicks or the New York Giants, right? So that's the difference. So I think in simple, it's a very difficult journey to walk through. I think it's okay for you to go through the pain. Try to go through the pain as early as possible. Okay, that's always a good step for you. From our experience, of course, the last year we were still building, trying to make things happen. I think we spent almost 1 year raising money to close our first fundraising. 1 year, 12 months. Seriously, 1 year, right? So and then this year, 6 months later, when things are moving, boom, COVID hits. Right? So what we are happy about is mentally we were ready for the nightmare, because last year was a very gruesome process for us as we're building something from the ground. So whatever happened this year, this is nothing, because we believe that we've seen the worst, right? So I encourage everybody, if you have the opportunity, try to grow through the pain, try to go through the trials and tribulations of building a venture from the ground up as early as possible in your journey, right? Fundraising is difficult, building a product is difficult, selling that idea is difficult, and even convincing somebody to spend money on that product is even more difficult, right? So, but the fun part of the journey is, boy, you can meet so many amazing people. You are not alone in the journey, right? Liverpool says you will never walk alone. I believe that in the same thing as startups, you will never walk alone, because you have so many people you can share stories with. Whether it's fundraising challenges, you can exchange networks. There's no problem you're facing maybe no one within, for example, the Proceteria group has ever faced within our portfolio of companies, right? There will be somebody in your ecosystem that will answer your question, right? I'm lucky to also have went to a great business school, Chicago Booth, where me and Aria, we are alumni. Alumni here, Aria is almost graduating, right? So I have a bigger network. I can tap in if there's a question on anything, product, customers, fundraising. So I have a network I can always tap into beyond just the local Indonesian network. So I think that at the end of the day, success is not about how many hours you put in. I always believe that people make things happen. Success is how you build an ecosystem of people around you who will help you to guide you in the right way, who open the right doors for you, and who are willing to tell you, man, this is bullshit. You need to stop it. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you want to be told things you don't want to hear, right? Because that's part of the whole journey of learning. So I think it's all about build a network of people around you, the people who will tell you things you want to hear, and people who tell you things you don't want to hear. That is the way you become a better founder in your journey, because that only shape you to face the ups and downs that will come with the journey. I cannot tell you how many times, sometimes me and Aria, we go back and forth in text disagreeing about something, right? But I know I'm learning from him, and I'm sure he's learning from me. But that's just the process of learning. But if you're surrounding yourself with people who say, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, because I know sometimes in Indonesia, people don't want to tell people directly. Like, I don't disagree with that. I think it's part of the culture. Then you got a problem. You definitely have to surround yourself with people who tell you the things you want to hear, and the people who tell you things sometimes you do not want to hear some other time. I think that makes a little bit of a balance in your journey. So yeah, I think the journey is hard, but it's also rewarding because of the learning. The global networks for me I've built, it's amazing within Southeast Asia and beyond, and the things we're continuously able to do. But sometimes no pain, no gain, right? And in life, I always got to look back and say, whether this works or not, but I've managed to come to Indonesia and drink a lot of coconuts. I can take that away with me ahead of time of the journey. But yeah, I mean, if anybody wants to talk a little bit more about this, I'm happy to engage offline. You can get my email, my WhatsApp, or whatever. I'm always available. You want to talk about nothing, the struggle, ProSpark, we're always available to chit chat about that. But yeah, I mean, it's a fun journey, and give it a shot if you want to try. If not, you can always come and join ProSpark.
All right, thank you, Alpha. That was like 5 or 6 key takeaways, I think.
I'm sorry, I gotta let it out, man. I gotta let it out, bro.
All right, how about you?
Great.
How about you, Tommy?
I'm also learning from Alpha.
No.
Yeah.
All right. What's your take?
Very true. Yeah, I mean, for me, nothing is instant, right? I mean, you have to through a lot of pain, a lot of pivoting, right? Change the business model. So I think from my experience and Johan, my co-founder, actually, we just start. I mean, don't be afraid to start. I mean, when we start something, it doesn't need to be perfect at the beginning, right? Considering we live in Asia and Indonesia, right? I mean, the best way to prove the model is actually to just launch it, right? So my point is just don't be afraid to start, and actually, especially if you are young, right? If you're still young, a lot of mentors, a lot of people that will be very happy to help you, right? Including Arya, Ardi, right? People, founders in the Prasetya group, and actually, um, you will enjoy the journey, enjoy the process, learning from the people that you meet, right? And perhaps you cannot do that if you are running a traditional or brick or mortar companies, right? But if you are small, but you are start something that perhaps you are the first, or maybe first few players in the industry, I think a lot of mentors, a lot of people will want to help you. So I encourage people who just want to start a company. It's just you just start, and a lot of vertical in Indonesia that actually a lot of vertical and industries that need to be filled. So yeah, don't be afraid to start.
Yeah, and I think Arya and I we follow you changing your technology, changing your brand. I think I think you've gone through a lot. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Thanks for keep believing.
All right. I think that'll be all. So thank you, Alpha. Thank you, Tommy, for joining us today. Very, very insightful discussion, and thank you. And thank you to the audience who joined us this evening. And we will send follow-up emails for feedback and AWS application form if any of you would like to apply for the Amazon Web Service credit. And if there is any more question, feel free to drop off some emails or replying to the email. And stay tuned to siar.com for today's discussion in our article, and Siar News YouTube channel for the questions each topic of this episode. And next episode will be next Monday on July 27th. But before that, we will have another talk, not the Founder's Diary, but Enterprise Talk. And the guest speaker will be Rama Raditya from Clue. And we will talk more in details about his products, his solution, and how it can help the new normal in Indonesia with AI and IoT. So please join us on Wednesday, July 22nd. 22nd, 2020. Same time, 7:30 p.m. And next Monday we will have another Founder's Diary, and it will be from M Target and Forstock. I think that will be all. Thank you, everyone. Good night. See you next time. Goodbye.
Thank you, Alpha. Thank you, Tommy.
Thank you,
Alpha.
Thank you, Arya.
Thank you,
Thank you
everyone.
for the
Thank
time.
you, and
Thank you, mates.
keep inspiring.
Thank you.